Welcome to the Legacy of Light podcast, where we channel messages from the higher realms, taking you on adventures into the higher realm history of this planet, to golden ages, advanced civilizations, and sharing messages and news to support you on your ascension path. I'm Gabriela Kowalski, and
I'm Polina Gabriela. We are so delighted to be taking you on a journey of embodying your own divinity, exploring your beautiful, magnificent, infinite heart, and connecting deeper to your own beautiful eternal nature.
Dum-da-da-dum, welcome back to Legacy of Light, the podcast slash YouTube show with
Polina and Gabby.
Yay! Okay, so if you're here, it means that you've watched episode 1, because you really do want to watch episode 1 before you watch episode 2. As you'll notice, the title says part 2.
Quite logical.
That's right. And so we want to go deep with you and continue the conversation. And continue the conversation that takes us to Egypt. And so here we are upon our quest, co-creating with the beautiful gods and goddesses of Greece as we travel into the Egyptian grids. And when we enter Egypt, oh my goodness, everywhere we go, every single temple, every single pyramid, it's no kidding, like one big, huge ayahuasca, LSD kind of, experience. We're going straight in. We would download how to open up the libraries and take the process of going in to the beautiful quantum libraries within these places. And as we would enter them, we would connect with our beautiful brothers and sisters, and with Isis and Hathor and Anubis and Osiris and Horus and so many of the other beautiful beings. Polinka working really deeply with the Ra codex and consciousness. And here we were again, and the same thing was happening. We were connecting with our beautiful, benevolent, amazing gods and goddesses, receiving messages. The first messages that for myself I was receiving, some of the first ones were an expansion of love. And that's what takes me into why we're here, why we truly created the Legacy of Light podcast for the world. We were connecting with, or for me, I'll speak to me, and then Polinka can share her version. On one particular day, I was in Isis's temple, and I had my hands on the beautiful wall and my forehead upon it too. And one of the ways I personally really love to receive when I'm in a site like this is to place my hands, and so the eyes in my hands and the eye in my third eye, onto a structure and go on a wonderful journey. And I don't look weird at all doing that. It's completely socially acceptable.
Touching a wall with your forehead.
Excuse me, miss, what are you doing? Nothing, I'm just resting. It's actually funny because we kept creating these beautiful, amazing alternate timelines and realities everywhere we went, where we would meet the guardians of these temples, and they would allow us to spend more time in these temples and meditate and receive, and it was incredible. So I'm really grateful that that we can of course always travel upon our most highest abundant timelines. And so here I was in Isis's temple, and Isis was sharing with me that it was important to really feel into every single being on the planet, to know that every single human being is part of the Earth family. And she was showing me how, for such a long time in my work, I had been initiating leaders and running advanced programs and advanced ascension programs, working with souls who were already quite deep in their ascension process, had already done quite a lot of work, were teaching and coaching and facilitating events themselves. And she showed me how, as much as that is powerful work, because of course those beings then get to anchor even deeper into their missions, that it was time for me to see that Gaia truly becomes Gaia. She ascends when every last consciousness is choosing love as their guiding force, that everyone gets to ascend, that she was inviting me to open my heart. Isis was literally cracking my heart open more than it had ever been opened before. And if you know me, you would be like, Gabby's a good-hearted person. Well, now it's even bigger. Anywho, and she was sharing with me the importance of sharing and streaming true higher realm ascension codes with the masses, with everybody, having stuff that's kind of, not as common in the mainstream become available to the mainstream. And ascension along the pathways of the higher realms and ascension upon abundance is not as commonly taught as ascension through healing, ascension through contrast, ascension through awakening to the lower realms of existence and what's been going on in them. And I kid you not, with every day we visited multiple sites, every place I went to, my love quota was being expanded. I was receiving technologies. I was also receiving, receiving my Egyptian goddess avatar. And so by the end of the Egyptian trip, my whole body was made of the gold of the gods, with all of this liquid crystal technology all throughout all the different places. Incredible. And new wings, once again, coded with technology, amazing technologies. Yet in order to even receive my Egyptian goddess avatar in the quantum, I needed to go through an expansion of my heart consciousness, more precisely an expansion of my heart quota. And that just means the amount of love frequency and love codes and templates my field embodies. So our quota is our field, and the field of love, it just expanded. As my field of love was expanding exponentially every single day, my love for every human being on the planet was growing. And I was feeling feeling you more, feeling how we really are one family, and that the teachings that I'd been teaching in my programs to the leaders of the world, it was time to share some of them with everybody. And that's why this podcast got created, because we were asked to create it. We were asked to very specifically channel messages from the God and Goddess realm and serve humanity with it. We were asked to do this, and we said
yes.
Yes, we said yes. That's in case you're wondering. And so here we are. And, of course, we went on a journey to integrate all of this. Yet here's the piece that was interesting for me, because I too, prior to my trip to Egypt, had received in certain informations about the gods and goddesses of Egypt. And one, I'd been working with Isis and Hathor and Sekhmet for a few years, and I felt really comfortable with them. Yet, what was interesting, when we arrived in Egypt, we were on the plane and about to land, and Isis literally gave me her wings and said, here, fly in on these wings. They will have you enter into alternate realities and timelines with your friends. And so we all flew in on Isis's wings together and anchored. And I could feel Hathor, I could feel Sekhmet. I was really excited to co-create with them deeper on this pilgrimage. Yet, on day one, on our first adventure, we traveled to Alexandria to explore temples. And to my surprise, Anubis came to me, and Anubis wanted to guide me through these temples. Now, why this was a surprise to me was because, to be honest, I hadn't co-created much with Anubis. And in that moment in time, for that one fractal of slice of time, when he came, there was an aspect of me that was like, no, I want Isis, but I want to go with my friends. I don't even know you that well. And beyond this though, I, in that moment, had been made present to some of the information that I had received about Anubis, being a god of the underworld, being linked to death, being linked to basically the underworld and the lower realms of existence. And in that moment, I was like, oh, are you good? Like, there was a moment where I was like, I don't even know if you, of the light, like, are you actually a good, good being? And of course, I witnessed this come up. It wasn't something I was conscious of. It was a seed that was planted in my consciousness, gosh knows when, about about the history of the gods. And maybe you're listening to this and maybe you've also heard things about Anubis being an underworld god and all sorts of stuff. And there's movies about this kind of stuff. Anyway, long story short, here we are, and as much as my initial reaction wasn't yay, I also leaned into this and opened my heart to receive. He asked me to open my heart to receive the truth. And as I was walking into this temple, with each step that I took, so much data was downloading and activating within my heart, remembering. And one of the biggest pieces was remembering who Anubis really is. And remembering that Anubis and I, at a soul level, are actually really good friends, and we had lifetimes together. Anubis built beautiful golden bridges from the physical plane into the non-physical plane that were bridges of ascension. He literally worked on creating technologies for beings that were alive to be able to continue ascension during their transition. So if someone was to leave the physical plane of existence, the consciousness that they were in, when they traveled on one of these beautiful golden bridges, they were then able to call back and remember a lot more and continue ascending beyond their physical vessel in their consciousness in transition. And the ascension that they were able to undertake in that moment was quite profound, because it was within quantum time upon golden bridges of ascension. Incredible. He was showing me all the technologies, all the beautiful architecture he'd built onto this planet to support Gaia to be an amazing ascension planet, to support humanity to ascend in so many ways. Like, there are so many beings that have anchored and worked on the ascension in when people are still in their physical bodies. This guy was like, okay, cool. Well, there's this moment where someone passes away, and in between the veil, they're still in their consciousness stream, transitioning, remembering who they are. And wow, and then upon remembering this and remembering lifetimes with him, working with him, working on some of these technologies together, sharing codes, because I was remembering myself and my own incarnations. And he was, his work with like beyond physicality was just part of what he did. He was absolutely obsessed with all of this, like a mad little awesome scientist, getting so excited to build all of this architecture. And we were friends. I was sharing codes with him. I, at the time, was a goddess of life, and I was creating bridges into the higher realms of Gaia, supporting beautiful beings to be able to enter Earth to have a wonderful experience, because many of us have lived in profound higher realm golden ages of existence. And so we shared codes, Anubis and I. We worked on projects together. I was remembering all of this, like literally a couple of hours into the day, and I'm like, whoa. And then for a couple of days, the first couple of days of our journey in Egypt, Anubis asked me to reactivate these golden bridges for humanity. And so as we traveled, I was literally reopening this technology. It was amazing. By the end of this, I was like, Anubis, fist bump. I love you, and every ounce of any distortion, I guess you could say, around him disappeared. And I got to see him for who he truly is, a beautiful being that cared so much, that was obsessed with, building this architecture so living consciousness could anchor and expand at a soul level even more. And as we traveled, this was happening everywhere. Everywhere we went, I would connect with different gods and goddesses in different temples, and all you feel is love. Their message the whole time was expand your love, share more with the world. It's time to share high teachings with the world. Let them know about the higher realms of existence. Let them know how they can walk upon alternate pathways of abundance along their ascension. Let them know how to do this, share this with the world in beautiful ways. There's so much love. And on the flip side of this, as we were traveling with our guide pretty much got really quickly that we would just go off, and of course,
just run.
Yes, we would rest our forehead onto walls, touch things. he knew that we didn't really want to receive all the information, that we just wanted to know where things were and we would go off on our own. Yet every now and then, we'd hear snippets of history, and the history was definitely interesting to hear because it was sharing stories that once again were very dramatic, that were having the Greek gods and goddesses appear to be very acting like high school children, to be honest with you, in competition with each other, fighting amongst each other, jealous of each other, causing problems, like really childish kind of behavior. And it didn't fit the beings that we were connecting to. Isis came to Earth. She's a beautiful, amazing ascended master. She'd already supported the ascension of Sirius. So did Hathor. But just to anchor with Isis. Isis came to Earth for the purpose of building a golden age of existence. Maybe even you were there with her, supporting her as you listen to this. Something could ignite in your heart, supporting her to do this. She came and she shared teachings from the higher realms. When she first took leadership over Egypt, Egypt was in a low expression of itself. People were hungry. The people were suffering. It was not a golden age. It was not a utopia. She then shared teachings with the soul. She came bringing codes and teachings, and she had a longer extended life. Was able to share with the people keys and codes and technologies for them to ascend out of the lower and middle realms of existence to anchor into the higher realms of existence. And together they built a golden age city that lasted for quite a long time. And yes, it did descend again, yet she did. She built something beautiful with her teachings. Those teachings still exist in the quantum dust of Egypt. All of it is there, and all of the teachings are coming and stemming from love. At the core, everything stems with love and abundance. If you ever hear a teaching from any teacher on the planet, if there isn't a frequency of love and abundance in it, it's not coming from the highest libraries. It really isn't. And so for me, I was just like, what the crap is going on that in Greece and here, the beings that we're connecting to are definitely not the beings that the myths and legends and history speaks of. And Polinka and I were talking about this, and Polinka said to me, well, it's because, we're connecting to the higher realm aspects. These stories are coming from the lower realms. I'm like, well, of course. And beyond this, though, we together were called to go back to Hathor's temple. So we went to Hathor's temple, which was incredible, amazing sight, and received so much there. And then we felt called to go back there. And so we told our guide that we weren't going to do what was on the agenda that day. We got a private driver that drove a couple of hours to take us back to Hathor's temple. And we spent all day at Hathor's temple until it closed. And once again, created alternate timelines to the point where, incredible, there was only 3 people that we saw all day at this temple, which is, if you've been to Egypt, this doesn't happen at the big sites. They're often really crowded. Yet we were in this alternate, beautiful reality and timeline. We also intercepted at the beginning the guardians of the temples. They saw that our heart was in the right place, and they literally took us to the back behind the temples, and unlocked locked up by padlocks and chains temples. At the back of Hathor's big temple architecture was an Isis temple. And so they took me there, behind the thing. Polinka was doing something else at the time, but they took me there first, took all the chains off, and they didn't speak English. They were just like, Isip, which basically means Isip. It's Isis's real name, I guess you could say. And I'm like, okay, Isip's temple, great. And, they're talking in they're saying things that I believe were like, we're not meant to let you in here, but we're going to let you in here. Shh. They just kept saying, shh. I'm like, okay. So they let me in. And this was extraordinary. As soon as I placed my hands on the wall and my forehead on the wall, instantly Isis says, Whew, the reason why you are hearing these stories is, please understand, these stories are not about us. We exist in the higher realms, and we only exist in the higher realms of existence. And of course, we can travel into other realms to support and share and do our work, yet we are of the higher realms. The stories that you're hearing, with all the fighting and all the, honestly, there's quite a lot when it comes to the Egyptian gods fighting amongst themselves in massive competition. Isis said to me, this was not us. There were other beings that came to planet Earth that were shapeshifters that saw that there was many people that were still honoring our teachings. Isis had left these beings had left such powerful libraries and legacies of light and love that people were still teaching these teachings for quite a long time. And there was temples and initiations, and they were being shared. People were still living in the reverence of these beautiful, loving teachings. And she shared, beings came to your planet that could not cultivate enough love in their own field. And when we have, the more love that we can cultivate in our field, the more life force energy we have flowing through every fiber of our being, the more access we have to source, frequency, life force energy. It is the frequency of love that has unmeasurable potential and can do anything. It is a river of energy that is literally limitless, infinite. And there was beings that came that had very small love quotas, that their field of love was really, really small. And how they were able to receive energy wasn't directly connected to source consciousness through their heart receiving energy. They would receive energy from other life. And they came here because when they took the form of the gods, their worshippers, the followers, believed that the gods were here and started to worship them, follow them, do what they wanted. And they gave them energy. And this literally fueled them. And as I listened to this, it all made sense that this was the lower realms of existence on this planet, that in the lower realms, this is what was happening. And of course, this made sense. My dear beloved friends were not the ones the stories were about, yet this is what made this even more delicious. Because please know, these beings coming to the planet, taking shapeshifting into the Greek gods and goddesses and the Egyptian gods and goddesses, and playing out these types of dynamics in order to cultivate energy, they're no different to humanity in lower love quota, meaning humans, there are, corporations that will work humans to the ground right now with no care, no compassion, underpaying them. This is happening in the lower realms of our world as we speak, human to human. You don't need to be a shapeshifter from a different friggin' planet to treat others without love and reverence. The way that some of the humans have treated animals and are still treating animals on our planet is very similar, to take animals and to place them into a container, breed them in order to have them become food. Please understand that this isn't a wrong or right thing. It's just levels of consciousness. The more love we have in our field, the more compassion we have, the more kind we become, the more we're unable to harm each other. And this happens with the ascension process. This happens as we ascend with love. And so Isis was sharing this with me, that it's not, this isn't a bad or right, wrong or right thing. Of course, every person on the planet or the people that had followed a path into fear in their own journey, allowed these beings to do this. There was many beings in Egypt, by the way, that saw through the bullshit, and they did not subscribe to this. They stayed true to the teachings, and they stayed in higher timelines. They weren't a part of that particular system. Yet we hear, there's echoes and remnants, and a lot of the history that's been echoed through the planet has come from the lower and middle realms of existence, not the higher realms. They're not as encoded, or even Isis's true teachings, weren't the echoes that were left behind. There was these dramatic stories. And on the way home, as we came back from Hathor's temple, profound day. So much more, by the way, happened. That was just the very beginning of the day. Paulinka and I were in the car with the driver driving us home, and I shared with her, what I'd received in Isis's temple, and then what Paulinka shared with me was incredible. And I really wanted to create this space for her to share this with you, because as I say to her, I can really feel the love and compassion in Isis's voice when she shared what had happened. There was no fear in my field about this. It was just like, okay, fair enough. Some beings don't have, as much love quota, and they do these things until they don't, until they learn, until they grow. And I'm sure as you're listening to this, if you reflect upon your life, every one of us, most of us, can find a part of our past where we did something, we said something, we took an action, we took a path that we then learned was not the highest. We learned from it, we hurt somebody. And it's the same thing, to be able to forgive ourselves and to forgive others. And yet please know that these beings that came here, Paulinka says to me, whew, she says, Gaia is an ascension planet and she welcomes all. And these beings that came, they also came to take a path of ascension. And the same beings that shapeshifted in those slices of time, pretending to be the gods, to get energy from the followers, are beings that have ascended, have by just being on this planet, they got to expand their love quota. Gaia supported their ascension, and there's a completely different configuration for those beings. And so I really wanted to ask Paulinka to share more about the fact that Gaia is an ascension planet, that we are on a planet of ascension. Chum chum.
Yay! Thank you. I've been working with galactic consciousness, cosmic consciousness, and different advanced star races and of higher dimensions for quite some time. And since I was a child, I was receiving a lot of data from Ra and solar consciousness, the actual rays of light, and the sacred triad of the God source intelligence. So since my journey of actually being more conscious and aware of the dynamics in the world, in my case it was coming with the age, I started gaining access to the memory banks of my own oversoul and beyond. And since I was a child, I was completely obsessed with Egypt. I was learning so much about different gods and also Greek mythology. I knew so much. I loved it, but guess what happened? I completely forgot it all. And when I found myself in Egypt and in Greece, I had zero remembrance of all the stories and myths that I have learned and studied when I was younger, in my early ages of my life. I'm sliding down the pillow.
Paulinka had to sit on a pillow so she could be a bit taller.
Yeah, otherwise I'm tiny. And now I'm sliding forward. Anyway, talking about beautiful, serious things here. Yes, the reason for this memory erasal of mine was absolutely necessary. So I'm meeting energy, so I'm eating the true legacy of light that was left for us by our ancestors, by our brothers and sisters, by our cosmic families of light. I needed to come with an empty mind, with a spaciousness in my heart to receive the truth, to connect to the actual high realms and history that we are to share with you now, because we all serve as channels, we all serve as messengers. Gaia as a planet, as a physical planet, exists within time matrix. Time matrix is the beautiful topic that I can be sharing for hours and hours. Time matrix exists because of time and space continuum. So, as the planet Earth was created, the name of our planet has been changing. There are so many different ways how to call this planet. We can be calling her Earth, Gaia, Terra, Yara, and so on. Yet the thing is, it's a one living consciousness, and everything in creation was created, is created by one infinity, infinite source consciousness. And I'm not talking about Christ consciousness or Divine Father, Mother God. I'm talking about the unified field of all creation. When the planet Earth was at the very fundamental stages of its creation and just receiving codes of self-awareness, beings of different universes and galactical systems have received such strong invitation to come into the plane of existence, to teleport themselves, to enter through so many quarantines and portals and stargates and different galactical systems, federations of light, to make their way to seed and plant codes of remembrance, to contribute their legacy into the very matrix of our planet Earth, Gaia. And as humanity here, as one unified field, we have so many different storylines that sometimes are quite conflicting when we look at the history of events that actually took place. So there are always different perceptions and different perspectives of the same events that took place. And then there are the same witnesses that can say that none of it had actually happened. Why? Because in our physical DNA as human beings, in our avatar bodies, and in the codex of our soul, we have different codes. We have different seeds and elements and fractals of different types of consciousness contributed into our DNA by different beings, no different from the planet Earth. So there are cycles of ascension that humanity is taking, and also planet Earth, planet Gaia is experiencing, and all of us here, we have made a choice to come into this physical plane to experience this particular cycle of ascension and to be facilitating this experience for others. And by others, I do not mean only physical beings like our families, but also non-physical families of light. Because of the different codes within our DNA, we all have different personality traits. We all have different perception of events. We all resonate with different frequencies. And as we all are part of oneness, I would like to speak about the collective of Ascended Masters and collective of gods. Those guys, they do not exist within the time matrix. They exist beyond duality. Time matrix is a field where all timelines, past, previous, parallel, future timelines exist. So the planet is ascending through this planet, through that grid, which is quite mathematical. That's why we can calculate cycles of ascension. And we speak about golden age. We are basically tapping into particular sequence of timelines that was resonating with higher frequencies. But the truth is that Ascended Masters and gods, goddesses, they are not bound by time metrics. They have transcended that. They are no longer resonating with duality. And our planet Earth is going through different stages of awakening, self-realization, and ascension, and we are part of it. So the first, second, and third dimension, these are the dimensions of scarcity, fear-based paradigms of existence, and also co-creation with the reptilian and draconian DNA. The way how matrix, the lower density matrix is created is because the frequencies are predominantly based on fear. We already spoke about this in a previous episode on our podcast, but I still like to touch base upon that. So the reptilian and draconian DNA is the DNA that is directly connected to alternative galaxies where empathy is not there. So can you imagine when you are interacting with beings that have completely zero humility and their only function is to consume and to receive power, to enslave? And this is what lower density is predominantly made of, those vibrations. And Gaia has those codes. Gaia has other codes. Gaia has codes of fourth, fifth, and sixth density, which is the awakening of the soul consciousness. So first three dimensions are dimensions that are resonating with the identity. I am identity, self-serving. I am serving myself. So therefore, I would be a selfish one and enslaving all in order to serve self. That is the first three densities. Fourth, fifth, and sixth densities. This is the when Gaia and all beings that are currently here with us in physical form and beyond are going through the process of awakening to the soul consciousness. And the soul consciousness is always takes place through the portal of the heart, and after through other portals, but the main portal is within our heart chakra. That's the gateway, that's the stargate to celestial realms and realms where duality is no longer existing. Then we find ourselves to seventh, eighth, and ninth dimensions. These are the dimensions where we already stepping over the bridge of duality and going into oneness. This is where soul self-consciousness has already been integrated, and we are tapping into monad and oversoul, which are the highest expressions, the most integrated expressions of the soul light. And beyond, there are already no densities, there are already no dualities. This is where we tap into Logos and Christus avatar, Divine Sophia, Christ consciousness, and then beyond that we are completely merged with white light. So this is just the brief structure of the dimensions and the different planes of existence that are present on this planet Earth. And people, humans, that are resonating and who have mainly activated codes of lower densities, they are attracting matching timelines, and they're perceiving gods and deities and the ascended masters through the infiltrated prism, through the infiltrated channel that is anchored in the lower realm and lower frequency. So therefore, when you hear stories about Egyptian gods, Greek gods, or any beings of light, masters of light, who are saying we need to enslave everyone and we want you to worship us because we are the ones to be pedestaled upon. These are the beings who, as Gabi already shared, shapeshifters from parallel realities. They're taking form, and it's no different from just wearing a different costume and putting a wig on and changing the voice. And when human is not sovereign, when a soul is not sovereign, when it's not anchored in a heart consciousness, the frequency difference cannot be felt. So therefore, the enslavement takes place. Ascended masters, beings of light, they share messages of light. They share codes of oneness and unity. The higher realm history, the higher realm stories, they are only to be felt through the heart. And heart always resonates with oneness. So beings of light from higher dimensions, they always share with us codes of unity. They are calling upon our humility. They are calling upon our own sovereign organic nature, which is being human in this form. And we have to remember that Gaia and planet Earth, she is ascending with us. As one individual ascends, she is ascending. She changes her frequency. She changes her vibratory field. The frequency that she vibrates on and resonates is no longer anchored in those middle and lower realms. So when we are taking a journey of ascension, evolution, awakening, liberating self from fear, liberating self from all the arrogance and illusions, we are helping planet Earth. And this is why we have to understand how interconnected we all are with all different beings, how we are part of one big family, and the family is united by one same frequency, love. And the love helps us to transition into higher realms. I've been also working with ascended masters, channeling them and sharing their teachings. And what always comes through my own channel is that teachings are very simple. Humanity does not need any complex teachings, because we have mind, because our mental field is quite active. Yet heart always resonates with the truth, no matter how you say it, no matter how you name it, no matter what words you are using. You are simply sharing a message. You are simply coding the field with your experience. So that's why, as all beings of light here in human form, and not only, we have to respect each other. We have to see at ourselves and understand that we are part of one big cosmic family. And when we know that beyond our physicality, we are pure light, we are pure intelligence, we are love itself. And we are participating in the ascension not only on this planet Earth, not only individually, but we're helping the whole universal system to ascend and evolve. As beings of light, our families of light, our ancestors, they're always in our field. They're sharing their messages with us, they're guiding us. And they speak to us through the voice of intuition, sensations that we recognize. We feel frequencies, we receive messages through our dreams. We have to make a choice to honor what we are experiencing within, and then project and radiate this beauty, this respect into the world towards others, direct other beautiful virtues of ourselves and share them with others. So this is what gods and goddesses in Egypt, Greece, ascended masters, and all advanced beings of light, star races, they're always sharing the same teachings. You have to remember that you are love. You have to remember that you are light. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive brothers and sisters. And more than ever, when you remember that you are part of oneness, express yourself, express your signature gifts, because you are not serving self, you are serving oneness. You are not one I am self-identified being, serving self. You are a fractal of oneness, embodied, incarnated, and you are sharing light and codes of beauty, love, joy with other fractals of oneness. And this is the higher realm of ascension. This is the ultimate higher circle and the top of the spiral of ascension, because everything in the universe is moving through circles. Everything in the universe communicates through numbers, sounds, lights, and geometries, and consciousness moves in spirals. So when we talk about frequency of light, frequency of love, and a true abundance, we are tapping into that top layer of top part of the spiral of ascension that ultimately takes us to unity consciousness. And it's a fun and interesting journey that we all signed up here for. There is so much to discover, there is so much to learn. And when we realize that we are not only ones in the universe, and we are not kings and queens, we are all that there is. We are all that we can even imagine. We get access to deeper parts of ourselves that have codes and libraries, those legacies that our ancestors and other versions of us that have already ascended and completed the cycle of ascension multiple times, we have left it for ourselves to remember and to tap into. So it is a journey of remembrance, it is a journey of exploration, and we have to be courageous. We have to keep our excitement, we have to keep our passion and fire, curiosity about life, because we are here to live. We are here to share and multiply. We are here to continue create and to build the realm of life, the realm of light, the realm of abundance, joy. This is the true legacy. This is the true legacy, and all teachings of Masters of Light, they're all about that, because through love and kindness we are entering the realm beyond duality. We are transcending all those dense parts of ours, and therefore, as we are interconnected, we are supporting those beings who are resonating with second, third, fourth, and lower dimensions. We are helping them ascend. So automatically that erases this paradigm of victimhood, because Gaia is a beautiful planet that is coded with all that there is. She is like a loving divine mother who facilitates all sorts of experiences. She welcomes all, she nurtures all, she loves all unconditionally, and her light, her love heals all, restores all distortions, restores and erases all scarcity from the field, completely purifies, sanctifies, and baptizes those parts of consciousness, those parts of existence that are still exploring duality. And she is a beautiful goddess.
Oh, so beautiful. I love this so much. Isn't that just beautiful? You know, beautifully just anchoring deeply into the knowing that everything truly is divine, whole, and complete. There is no wrong. There is no victims. There, the whole thing is gorgeous. And if anyone is still sitting here, potentially thinking, why would Gaia even wish to be an expression of, of duality and of fear and of density? Because an ascension planet is allowing every aspect, all spectrums of frequency are welcome. And there's literally nothing wrong with exploring fear. Please know that everything ultimately is birthed from source, from light, that at the center of everything is love, light, and abundance. And if we even look into abundance, abundance allows a soul to go as far and wide on an adventure of exploration as it wishes to. Source consciousness does not look at the third dimension and, and oh, I really messed up there, didn't I?
Yeah.
There are, and it's interesting too because there are mission souls that interpret their missions as I need to fix this, I need to rescue people, I need to save people. And the truth is no one needs saving, that we're all gods and goddesses, we're all fractals of source. At core, we created and we are creating the multiverse. And we are simply an expression of ourselves, abundantly exploring all nooks and crannies of who we are in an infinite, beautiful web of exploration. That if anything, we invite you with this to look upon anyone that you know who's holding a smaller love quota and have compassion, because that, the people that hurt people are hurting themselves. That the ones that are still navigating a consciousness where they don't have a high level of empathy, please understand that that is simply where they're at. That doesn't not mean that you need to be with them 24/7. You can choose to forgive, you can choose to accept, and you can also choose to play somewhere else. You don't need to co-create with these beings, yet often we can also attract certain aspects, of the lower or middle realms of existence into our life until we come into non-judgment, until we come into compassion, until we come into acceptance. That there is this, it's inviting us to simply be with. This is something the gods and goddesses do effortlessly. They can travel into the lower realms of existence and sit with someone in tremendous pain and hold them in love and not leave going, oh my God, that was a really dense frequency. If you're listening to this, maybe you've had an experience before where you've hung out with someone who's in a lot of pain and in a lot of density, and just by being around them, maybe you felt really bummed out. And if you've ever had that experience, the answer to this is love. That when the love field is really, really big, it can sit with someone in pain and be able to hold them in love without catapulting into the lower realm frequencies. You can visit someone in the lower realms and still maintain love and not be affected. And, this is an ascension process that enables us to, sit with a metaphorical demon and not be afraid and just see them as a level of consciousness, and that's all there is to it. And this is what makes Gaia so special. She is an ascension goddess. She is a goddess who took planetary form, who chose to be an ascension planet, welcoming so much upon her, existing in so many different configurations, slices of time, completely different configurations. And if you're wondering why, once again, because when you love so much, you care not just about yourself or your family. Your love grows and you care about the community, then you care about the whole world. Then as your love grows, you care about your whole galaxy. Then as your love grows, you care about multiple galaxies. And then as your love grows, you care about the universe. Then as your love grows, you care about multiverses. Love has no limit. And at that point, every fractal matters. Not just the ones that are behaving well.
Shiny ones.
Yeah. The ones that have a lower love quota also get invited to come and ascend. We are all one in this regard.
Yes.
Yes. And so the invitation here is to invite you to cultivate more compassion and more love inside of your field, and accept that there are many different, there are many, there's an abundance of frequencies available here, and you get to choose where you anchor, where you build your life, where you create, without having to push others away. Everyone gets to exist and take their own journey, and it is not up to us to rescue them. It's also not up to us to push them away, to condemn them, to judge them. Everyone gets to be their own unique sovereign self. And ta-da, this is why we have launched the Legacy of
Light podcast. Beautiful ones. We are inviting you to hold yourself in love. Hold yourself with love. Connect to those ascended versions of you that have fully embodied their love quota, that have fully embodied their light. Go within and honor yourself. Hold yourself until all parts of you are healed, restored, loved, accepted, and hydrated by your love. And then do the same for others. And this is how light is amplified. Light and love gets procreated. And this is how, as collective field, we merge into higher realms.
Yeah.
Yay!
Ta-da. And we shall speak with you, see you on podcast number 3.
Yay! Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for being here. Lots of love.
Lots of love.